So we have been talking in the market industry about the word of mouth, like consumer-generated content or influencer marketing. Why were you successful?
What we do is always try, our secret is always try to find influencers that have a authentic story to say. And so when we look for influencers to work with, we make sure that they've used our product, that they've actually enjoyed the product, that they have a real story to say. And then we look at how their story resonates with different audiences, when they can talk about the app and their experience using Duolingo in their own words. That doesn't feel like a sales pitch. That's when we see influencers work. We think about marketing very much from a creativity perspective, very stunted. Right? For us, it's not about spending a lot of money. It's about trying to be stunted, try to find opportunities to demonstrate creativity and do things that people will talk about.
So Manu also, welcome to PIVOT.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, so you are the Chief Marketing Officer of Duolingo, and I know everyone uses your app. It's so popular. Do you feel the expansion in Japan also?
Yes, It's been working really well in Japan. We have found a very strong product market fit. Japanese consumers love to learn with Duolingo languages, and we've been growing very fast in this market.
Do you think Japanese people love to learn language?
I think so, yes. We are seeing in Japan people sticking with our product much longer than in other markets. I think Japanese people want to learn language and find Duolingo very much like an enjoyable experience to learn.
Wow, so I have the facts and figures here. So you have 80 million users, and just in Japan, within like 3.5 years, 10 times user growth.
Yes, we've got over 80 million monthly active users on Duolingo globally, and Japan is in our top 10 market.
Top 10 market.
Yes. So it's been growing very nicely over the last 3.5 years, actually 10 times the size. And it just shows that there's a strong product market fit for our app with this market. And also our marketing has been able to build a brand that is now being recognized within the market.
Wow, amazing. And you also led a digital marketing role on SONY PlayStation and also Spotify.
Yeah.
So you know a lot about the Japanese market.
Yes, I had the opportunity to spend some time through my career in Japan. And it's always a very fascinating market. I really liked working with this market.
How do you describe the Japanese market in like one word or one sentence?
You know what I love about Japan? The first thing that comes to mind, consumers are very truthful. We run surveys in many markets to understand our consumer base. What I love about Japan is that people actually answer really clearly, how if they're aware of the brand, if they're not, their affinity with the brand. So it's an easy market because you can understand the market in a way that is very, very truthful. So it's good for marketing. Yeah.
Wow, exciting. So today I want to ask you the question in 3 parts. And number 1, I want to ask you about the success of Duolingo marketing.
Yeah.
And for number 2, the future of language marketing market. And for the final part, I want to ask about team building.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of questions to ask you about. So this is the screen of Duolingo. It's like a game. Could you kind of walk us through for the audience who have not used Duolingo before?
Yeah. Duolingo is really it's a fun way to learn.
Yes.
And if you do anything in life that requires commitment and discipline, whether it's signing up to the gym or going on a diet or learning anything new, learning is actually hard, right? It takes commitment, discipline to do something every day. And it's something that our co-founders realized very early on and decided to build a learning experience that is as enjoyable as a game. And the fundamental truth or belief is that when we have fun, we go further. Because if you have fun, you come back every day.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like a chore. And it's something that is enjoyable. So you come back because not only you're learning, but at the same time, it's an enjoyable experience. And so Duolingo was built with this idea in mind that if you want to teach people well, it's not just about having the right content to teach, but it's also the experience itself. And that really sets us apart in the competitive market, right? Because there aren't many apps that are so gamified that feel like a game.
It's not really fun. It's time
very serious.
Very serious, and it's good for 1 or 2 days. But after a week, you get tired. You don't want to open the app.
Yes, yes. It's those apps put a lot of pressure on people, and they focus more on the final outcome. They promise fluency. They promise all of this. For us, we have a very humble approach to teaching, which is to make sure that what we want to offer to every user is that every time they come, whether it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day, they will have an enjoyable experience. So that's really what the commitment and the promise is.
Why is Duolingo fun? Is it because the gamification? Is it because AI? Or is it because of this? Is it just an owl or the green?
Yeah. It's the owl is the mascot.
Mascot, yes. Is that the secret?
We call the mascot Duo.
Duo, okay.
It's a green owl. And we also have a lot of different characters in the app. So you can see here on the left-hand side, that's Lily. She's the purple hair teenager. She has a very different personality from Duo.
Yes.
And yes, building a world of characters this way help to bring the fun into the experience, make it fun, entertaining, and it's also an amazing tool for marketing as well. Right? So we elevate a lot of those characters into our marketing. But so the characters are part of the fun, and it's also the lessons themselves, the exercise, are all like games. And we also have a lot of gamification mechanics. So for example, if you come back every day, you build over time a streak. So it's the number of days that you've been active over a period of time. And our users are very, very proud of their streaks. And often, that's one of the things that we see when they use Duolingo. Before they even tell us what language they're using, they say, "Oh, I have a streak of 100 days or 500 days," and it's really good because it shows the commitment and the sort of the discipline that they've had over a period of time to build that learning journey. And so the streak is very important, but we also have leaderboards, so you can compete in different leagues. So all of these are elements of the experience that are borrowed from games that we've applied to learning.
It's interesting you mentioned streaks because before the show began, our intern for PIVOT, he showed the screen and it's at 210.
Yes.
So it's like starting a communication with others. I think that's kind of a secret to your marketing because it's creating like a community of Duolingo users.
Absolutely. And this company was created 12 years ago. And what's really fascinating is still, to this day, word of mouth is the primary primary growth lever. And it's exactly what you describe here. People use our product, they build a streak, they feel that they're progressing, that they're learning something, and they want to talk to their friends about it. They want to talk about their experience learning languages with Duolingo. And in turn, they're doing the marketing for us. And that's why we see growth happening this way. And that's the best growth you can expect, right, for an app, word of mouth, because it's very trustworthy. If your friends say, there's this app and it's really enjoyable, it's really fun, you will believe them. So we really focus on building a really good experience first, so that people who experience Duolingo want to talk about it. And that's a very healthy way to grow, right?
Sure. So we have been talking in the market industry about the word of mouth, like consumer-generated content or influencer marketing. So what was different? What was your strategy different? Because people, when they think about the word of mouth, they think of paying some influencer, doing some commercial, using TikTok. But your strategy seems very different from that in a very fundamental way. So why were you successful?
Yeah, I mean, word of mouth, we call word of mouth what happens from our users, right? And how they use the product and talk to their friends about it. But we also use influencers, so paid marketing. And what we do is always try, our secret is always try to find influencers that have a authentic story to say. And so when we look for influencers to work with, we make sure that they've used our product, that they've actually enjoyed the product, that they have a real story to say, and then we look at how their story resonates with different audiences, and we look at does this influencer, for example, has a lot of credibility within a specific audience, whether it's Korean learners or travelers. And so that allows us to tap into those communities in a way that is credible.
So why is being authentic important? Because some influencers, they got their email from a soft drink company. They haven't drunk a drink before, but they drink it. They say it's good. Do the users know that? Why is authenticity important?
Yeah, I mean, I think these days, influencer marketing has been around now for 5-10 years, and we're now getting to a level where most people can see through the commercial aspects of influencer marketing. And that's why, we emphasize wanting to make sure that the story we tell and the way we do marketing feels authentic. Because, again, it's about building credibility. I think an influencer is only credible if they've actually used the product, if they have a true story to say. If they're learning Korean, for example, on Duolingo, they must have a story to say about it. And why do they learn Korean? And so I think having that story makes it believable. And we see that when we work with influencers that have something authentic to say, when they can talk about the app and their experience using Duolingo in their own words, that doesn't feel like a sales pitch. That's when we see influencers work.
So you communicate a lot with the influencers? Do you listen to their stories? Do you interview them?
Yes.
What's your approach?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time looking for really good influencers. So we contact many influencers, and then we listen to their story, and we try to understand how they've used Duolingo, how much, what is their streak. So it's very easy for us to see if they use Duolingo, right? Because of the streak. And then when we find influencers that have not only a good reach, but also a truthful story to tell about Duolingo, that's when we work with them. So for us, it's not about working with many influencers, but it's working with the ones that are believable.
And have the story.
Have the story.
Wow. So there's a chart I want to show to our audience. We can show that, especially TikTok users, wow, it's like rocket high.
Yeah.
Is TikTok the best platform for your users for the marketing purposes?
We found that TikTok works really well for us. And it was not the case, actually. When we started working with TikTok about in 2020, I think we started, the first content that we created for TikTok felt very much like what you would expect from a language app. So we used to have short form lessons on TikTok and content that was very much about learning.
Yes. I've seen that a lot on TikTok,
yes,
YouTube, and yes.
Yeah. And that content was good, but it was not engaging. And we did not see our follower growth, expanding or anything like that. And what we did is take a hard pivot, which is we started using our mascot, the owl, the green owl. And we started to not talk about language learning, but what we started doing is creating content that was first about entertaining the audience. And that's when we started to see a lot more growth, a lot more engagement, our content going viral. And that's why we realized that this is the right strategy for us, because we have something unique for our brand, which is this world of characters, including the owl. And it's something quite funny and entertaining for our audience to see this owl doing funny things in the office. And so the truth is, most people that use TikTok or social media platforms, they don't want to be sold to. They don't want to see advertising.
No.
They just want to have a good time. They have moments during the day. They want to pass some good time looking at videos, looking at content.
Sure.
And I think most brands are actually trying to use social media platform to sell you something. If you look at all of our content, none of it actually say, hey, we are a learning app, go and download Duolingo.
That's right, yeah.
It's all about building affinity with an audience and making sure that when you see our content on TikTok, it makes you laugh, it makes you smile, because then you will remember the green owl. And once you want to learn a language, you'll think, oh, maybe I should use this Duolingo app because they have a funny green owl and the content is really funny. So it's a good way for us to build awareness and for people to choose us over the competition.
So why was the green owl? First of all, does it have a name? Is it he or she?
Duo.
Duo, okay.
Duo.
Is it a
It's
he?
a he.
He,
Yeah.
okay. So Duo. Why did you place it like a fictional character, not like a TikTok influencer or maybe movie star like Taylor Swift or something?
Yeah.
What was it? Why was the green owl important?
For us, because there's something really interesting in personifying the brand through this fictional character. And it's also quite funny to have a green owl acting like a human and having, a crush on Dua Lipa, the singer, or having a nervous breakdown in the office.
He's sometimes depressed.
Yes. And so we build our social accounts like it is Duo's account. Like Duo the influencer. And, like a human, it comes with different facets of the personality. It has the very dramatic, grandiose personality, like an influencer, but he also has his fears and, the fear of being rejected by people for not doing their lesson, or, he's in love with Dua Lipa. So we build the different facets of the personality. And so if you follow us on TikTok, it's exactly that. It's exactly the story like any influencers, right? Like if you follow a real person. And that's been what at the core has been very different for our account and has been very novel. You don't see many brands doing that. And for us, that's really helps to grow our follower. But what we did see is that the more we were growing our audience, the more we were seeing new users. So when we started seeing TikTok posts getting to 5 million, 10 million views initially, we saw a direct correlation with new users coming on Duolingo. And that's where we figured out, wow, there's something really interesting with this approach, and it's working. And so we started deploying it to new markets, and we saw the same effects.
So when people talk about brands, they tend to focus on consistency, so it has to keep the same voice. But the Green Owl Duo, he's different every day. He has different characters.
Yeah.
So what's the balance between diversity and consistency of the brand?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the consistency at the heart, why this approach works is because what's unique about our product is the fun. Right? So if you think about what is the best way we can market Duolingo, knowing that the fun gamified experience is what sets us apart from the competition, well, is to lean even more on the fun in marketing. So in some ways, the consistency is the fact that it's fun, it's entertaining. It's both in our marketing and in our product. We also have consistent characters, right? So we have Duo in the app, Duo on social media. However, the way people experience our brand in the product is very supportive. It's very much about a very safe environment, which is here to give you a lot of kudos for coming in today, doing your lesson, and make you feel good about doing your lesson. If you look at our brand on social media, we adapt the content to the platform itself. So on TikTok, it's a lot more about unhinged Duo, right? So this crazy owl doing random things, because I think that's what works well on TikTok. So I think the consistency for us comes from the fact that the fun is the key red thread that you see across our product and our marketing, the characters. But then what we do is just adapt the content, the tone, the personality to the different channels.
So the baseline is consistent, but the adaptation is diverse.
The adaptation is diverse, and I think a brand is like a real person in that when you as a person, you have different facets, right? You have you're not.
I'm not always like this.
You're not always wanted, right? When you are with your family, you're a different person than when you go out with your friends. And I think that's what makes it makes you an interesting person.
Right.
And I think for brands it's the same. People don't want to have a brand that is one tone, that is very expected. They want a brand that will surprise them, will show them something new about their personality, like a human. And I think that's what we try to do with Duolingo.
Interesting. Let's talk about the Super Bowl ads. Could you walk us through and the Barbie ads? So could you walk us through what you did? What was your strategy? What made it successful?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can start with the Super Bowl ad.
Okay.
So what's interesting with the Super Bowl ad, obviously Super Bowl is a big moment in the US. advertising during the Super Bowl is very much a, brands that make it to the Super Bowl are brands that have made it in life.
Yeah,
right?
It's like the Super Bowl ads, yes.
Right,
yes.
exactly. And there's a lot of scrutiny around which brands are actually advertising in the Super Bowl. So it was always a dream of ours that at some point we'll get to that level of fame or confidence that we can, we now at a point where our brand can be at the Super Bowl. But, our marketing is always very scrappy, and we don't spend much money on advertising. So we really think about the best way to reach audiences should be through the creative stories that we have to tell. So we never look at a problem for marketing with a money lens, right? We don't say the best way to do this is to invest a lot of money on it, on the problem. What we tend to do is just look at it from a very creative standpoint. So while most advertisers would go to the Super Bowl and say, here's a big shake, and buying a lot of media for it, what we said, actually, let's not do that. We'll buy only 5 seconds as opposed to 30 seconds.
Only 5 seconds?
Only 5 seconds. And then we said, well, we don't need to buy something that is national across all the USA. With 5 seconds, we're going to try to do something that is very creative so that the people that we're reaching on TV when they watch the Super Bowl will be our way to get even more impressions. And the way we did that is, let's do something on TV that they see that makes them talk, right? So this idea of word of mouth.
Word of mouth again, yes.
In the marketing this time. So we did a 5-second spot, which is Duo, as you can see here, farting its own face and reminding you to do your Duolingo and to do your lesson. And so if you see this ad on TV, you're like, what is this? What did I just watch? I can't believe I saw this Duolingo ad. And you talk about it. You post about it on social media, and then through this you reach more people, right? So we bought 5 seconds. We only bought in a few markets in the US, like New York, LA, San Francisco, to name a few. And we focused on creating something that felt very different, memorable. That's why it's animated. And for the story, the concept is actually, if you use Duolingo, you can install a widget and on your phone, and the widget reminds you to do your lesson.
Yes. And
it changes illustrations every hour that you don't do your lesson. And when we launched this, one of the illustration was actually this exactly that. So the Duolingo with the morphing into another Duo. And
it came on your phone.
And we saw people talking about this, going, "What is this? I don't understand what's happening." And so that was the creative spark for the ad. We said, well, maybe that's what we need to do. We'll just do that in the 5 seconds of the Super Bowl.
That's very creative, because when people think of Super Bowl ads, people think of 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or fancy excitement, but it's very simple, short, creative, very different. Wow.
And the idea again was to stand out.
And you came up with this idea?
We came up with this idea in the team, So we didn't work with an agency on this. We have a small team of marketing in Duolingo. We are only about 40 to 45 people.
That's a small number for a global company like you.
And we really believe in our creativity as a team. So we invest a lot of time ensuring that everyone in the marketing team understands the brand the same way, understand the quirkiness, the fun, the tone of voice that we have, and we really come up with those ideas internally. I mean, the other thing we did with this ad is also, as you can see in the bottom, we worked with our engineering team to send a push notification at the same time as the ad was airing during the system.
So the existing users, they saw the ad and they saw the push notification.
At the same time.
Simultaneously.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And it's very new, something that I don't think any brand has done before.
No.
And so that was the very interesting and novel.
So it's like a combination of traditional TV and
second screen.
Second screen. How was it successful? Is there like facts and figures, like users growth, or how do you evaluate your success?
For us, this is, our goal coming into this was to drive a lot of virality. So we wanted to have people talk about our brand. And we wanted to be seen as one of the most innovative Super Bowl ads.
Yes.
So for us, it was very much a brand awareness play.
Okay.
We did see a lot of re-engagement from the push notification. So when people receive it, they open it and they go and do their lesson.
And they start their lesson.
Right.
Okay.
But we also saw a lot of discussion about this ad. Actually, during the Super Bowl, after the Super Bowl, X, so Twitter, published their report and said that Duolingo was the most liked brand during the Super Bowl. So the engagement that we created around this drove a lot of engagement from people talking about our brand. So we're very happy with the results.
Wow.
Very happy with that.
So before going to the Barbie story, can you talk about the push notification? Because I use Duolingo, my wife, my family use this, but we all say that it's because of this owl, we don't feel stressed. If it's like a human being telling you, do your lesson, that will be a pressure.
Yeah.
So do you think that's one of the key?
It's a good point. I mean, I never heard this hypothesis, but I do think you're right. I do think you're right. Because it's an owl, it's not, it's a fun owl as well.
Right.
That is quite quirky, funny, weird, and it's quite comical. So you don't feel the same pressure.
Yes.
However, the owl is quite pushy, right?
Yes.
It really wants you to do your lesson.
It's sometimes mean and strict. Yeah.
Right. That's why we send so many push notifications until you do your lesson. But the push notifications are always, the tone is always funny.
Yes.
It's always engaging. It's never too threatening. Sometimes it is, but yeah, it's trying to really get people to engage.
I think this is like a power of fiction or power of AI, because if it's too human, you kind of feel the pressure, but this way it's more fun. Yeah.
It is. That's right. Exactly. And the way we build our notifications, we have a system that we feed with a lot of different copy variations, and then using AI, machine learning, we know what notification is the most likely to work for you at what time of the day. So it's all automated through AI.
Does it kind of, not machine learning, but kind of educate himself to address the right language, the right push notification? Because I think the words matter. Instead of saying, oh, do your lesson, it's like, hi, it's Dio, do your lesson. That's more friendly. So do you kind of pay attention, or I guess keen to the sentences or the word it uses?
Yeah, absolutely. We create very different variations.
And which works best.
Exactly. And then we feed them into our model that then will run them as A/B tests. And so through this, we learn what works.
So is it being friendly the key, or what do you think?
Being friendly, being persistent.
Persistent
is probably the right way. And also humorous, right? You want to be able to be quite funny, to have something that stands out. So we try to create notifications that will appeal to our users, that they will notice. Because if they notice it, they will open them and they will do their lesson.
How about the frequency? Is it too much, too less? What's the best balance?
Yeah, we have a model that figures out what is the optimal frequency per user, but we try to make sure that we cap the number of notifications, because you can obviously do too much, and then at some point people will just turn them off. Right? So we try to be mindful of this, and that's why we have a model through experimentation that figures out what is the right frequency.
Because I turn my Slack notification off, but I don't turn this
that's good, because
it's the right notification.
Right.
Okay.
But for us, again, to go back to the business, it's very important that people come back every day, because you cannot learn a language if you only do it once a month, right? That's why everything we do and build, like the streak, like the push notification, they're all here for one goal and one goal only, which is for you to help you come back every single day.
Because it's the best way to learn.
It's the best way to learn. It's the best way to build a habit, the discipline, and that's what works. Yeah.
I like you said it's best for the users to learn language, instead of saying it's best for marketing or it's best for business, because a lot of people pay attention to daily active users because that makes them money. But you mentioned it's for the language learners.
It is, but it's also, indirectly, it's also what makes the money.
Right.
Because if you come back every day, you will feel that you're learning.
Yes.
And the more you feel that you're learning, the more you'll be willing to spend money with Duolingo, because what you're doing is, you'll feel that you don't want to see as many ads. You want to be able to progress faster. So what we want is people that are committed. And if they commit every day, then they will learn, and then they will eventually upgrade to our premium tier.
Let's talk about the Barbie campaign.
Yes. So the Barbie campaign. I mean, for the story, when the Barbie movie was being developed, the team, the studio, Warner, who was producing the Barbie movie, reached out to us and said, "Hey, there's a scene in the movie where one of the characters is learning Spanish on Duolingo.
Yeah.
And is it okay if we use the sound, the Duolingo sound during the movie?" And we said, yes, that's totally fine. But in return, what we would like from you in exchange is that we can send our mascot to the Barbie premiere. And so that's exactly what happened. So we dressed Duo, our mascot, into this Barbie outfit, wearing a very heavy wig, blonde wig.
Oh, it's a Barbie wig. I didn't.
It's a Barbie wig. Yeah. So we actually have a costume designer in the US that designs all the costumes for Duo. We have hundreds of different costumes that we've built over time. And the team, within 2 weeks of notice, just drove from Pittsburgh to LA in a van with this giant mascot in the back.
Okay.
And then showed up at the Barbie premiere with Duo. And this was very unexpected. This content performed extremely well on TikTok because it's a great way for us to tap into culture and associate our brand with what people care about at that moment. And of course, as you know, the Barbie movie was a global phenomenon.
Yes.
Everyone was talking about it. So having this giant green owl turn up on the red carpet is something that was very noticeable. And so, and it's funny as well. I mean, it's a giant green owl in Barbie outfit. So people were talking about it, and they loved it. So it's a really great way to build virality for our brand. And this didn't cost us anything, obviously, right? So that's why, similar to the Super Bowl ad, we think about marketing very much from a creativity perspective, very stunty, right? For us, it's not about spending a lot of money. It's about trying to be stunty, try to find opportunities to demonstrate creativity and do things that people will talk about.
So not every product can be in a Barbie movie, but still, if there's a chance, like a once in a lifetime chance, what's the best strategy you can, what's the best, why were you successful?
Why were we successful with this particular?
Barbie, yes.
Well, just I think the way I look at it is the more there's what I call a brand flywheel.
Yeah.
So when Duolingo started, it was not as famous as it is today. But the more we were able to build brand awareness, the more we were able to be seen as a brand that is entertaining, that is funny, and the more we grew our users, the more we became synonymous with language learning. So when the Warner team, the Barbie team producing the movie, thought about including that scene of the person learning Spanish.
Duolingo, yes. Yeah.
Duolingo was the obvious choice. And so that's what I call the brand flywheel.
Yes.
The more you are known as a brand, the more your business grows, the more you attract opportunities like this. And it's a snowball effect.
Right.
And so it's amazing to see this developing, because before we used to be chasing all the brands to do partnerships. Now it's a different situation, which is very appreciable.
So you're being chased.
Now we have more brands coming to us. I mean, we still go to brands, obviously, but it's a much more balanced perspective. And to all the marketeers out there, while watching this, I think it's important to remember this, right? The more you build your brand and the more you build the business, the easier it gets because you get a snowball effect.
I think that's one of the word of mouth, because if you're a screenwriter, and if you're writing a language app, you come up with Duolingo. So it's like maybe you heard from your friend or your colleague. So I think that's brand awareness.
It is brand awareness and it's brand fame, really. And that's why it's been working really well. But I don't think it would have worked so well for us if we didn't find a way to inject that unique personality in our brand. And again, the secret is to try to be different. You don't want to be a vanilla brand. You don't want to be the brand that is like other brands. You want to build your own personality, your own way of thinking about the brand. Because if you stand out, that's when brand will look at you in a very unique way.
Yes. Do you use AI for marketing, artificial intelligence?
We are testing AI for marketing. I think like many other businesses, AI is a really interesting opportunity. So right now, we use AI for a couple of things. One is to be able to pull large amounts of data to understand what people say about our brand on social media, and help us summarize some of those themes, which allow us to then create the right content. But also I think AI is interesting as a tool. So for example, performance marketing. Performance marketing is all about creating multiple assets, right? Different type of videos, and then feeding them into Google or Meta. But you need volume. You need a lot of different variety of videos. And I think AI is a great way to be able to generate multiple variations of the same creative. Something that is a very cumbersome task for human, right? So I think AI doesn't replace creativity. We really see AI more as a tool to enhance the productivity of our team.
Since you mentioned about the volume of data, it's easy to imagine that because you have so many language learners, you have like the whole gigantic data set of language learning.
That's right.
How can you use this like enormous data for your business and for your app?
So I mentioned earlier the brand flywheel, right? Which I think is really interesting as you think about marketing. But if you look at the core business of Duolingo, these diagrams summarize very well how we think about growth and how growth helps us to get better at offering really good education. So the more learners we have on our platform, the more we are able to collect data about those learners. And that data helps us to refine our courses, refine the way we run our A/B tests, right? So we run a multitude of experiments every day. Duolingo is very bottom up. So we have an idea, we have an hypothesis. We then create a product experience, whether that's changing the color of a button or creating something bigger within the product, right? So all of these new ideas or new initiatives, they go through an experimentation setup, as we call it. And so the more people we have on our platform, the more experiments we can run. And because we run more experiments, the product gets better. And because the product gets better, we can then get more learners, right? People will talk more about Duolingo as an effective way to learn. So they'll be able, through word of mouth, to recruit more users. So that's that flywheel that you have there, the learning flywheel, right? Which is all about making our products better through data and experiment. And then on the other side is really around the revenue and the money investment, right? So the more people come to Duolingo, the more people will have paying for the service. And with that money, we are able to spend money into making our product better as well. So we can hire more people. We can develop more experiments and more product experiences, more courses, right? We can create more languages on Duolingo. And so all of this makes our product better. So that's why we look at this flywheel. That's the way to understand it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Wow. So what's the best balance of learners and subscribers? Because I listened to your interview with CEO, and his vision is to make education accessible for everyone.
That's right.
So what's the balance between paid subscribers and regular users who use it for free?
I think there's a very altruistic mission at heart with Duolingo, which is that we really try to create the best education in the world and make it universally available. So many tech companies will have a cap on how much of the product you can use for free before you need to pay. At Duolingo, we don't have that philosophy because of our mission. So whether you use the product for free or whether you pay for it, is the exact same course content. So it's not because you pay that you have a better content, right?
Or a better owl.
Or better, no.
No, okay.
The content, which is the core of the learning experience, is the same for people who pay and people who don't pay. People who pay, it's more for convenience because they want to learn faster. They don't want to have interruptions with ads, for example. So that's really the benefit of paying for our service. people who don't pay will be served ads,
Yes.
right? And that's how we are able to monetize as well people using our product for free. And we believe at heart this business model is what has been so successful for us at democratizing Duolingo and making it such a popular way to learn, because we cater for both, billionaires like Bill Gates, who apparently uses Duolingo, and then we also cater for the opposite with Syrian refugees, right, who can't afford to pay, but are using Duolingo.
Yes.
And so it's amazing to have the same platform being used by such different people, right? In terms of how affluent they can be. So that's what at the heart is very true to us, is this mission, something that our CEO talks a lot about. And that explains the model that we have.
Scale will take part, because right now people don't go to Google search, but they ask ChatGPT for answers. But maybe in the future, people will ask this out because he will get smarter of obtaining a lot of data.
That's why I think the easiest thing is to use Google Translate. But you're not learning anything. This is very it's a commodity. It's not something that makes you better as a human.
So ChatGPT, like Google Translation, Grammarly, so you don't have to, technically you don't have to learn English, but it's fun to learn English.
Exactly.
Because you become better, not the ChatGPT.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's true to every single human. This needs to learn.
How can you build your career on marketing, especially in the very difficult, evolving digital age?
Yeah, I mentioned the change all the time.
Yes.
The most important is to stay curious, not be scared of change, but really embracing those changes and really showing that curiosity is different. And at the heart, I think that's what helps any marketer, any aspiring marketer to be successful, is that curiosity, the experimentation mindset, and the drive to have an impact.